Because it seems that this is now what is we're going to be facing. And after, when we get out of this rain earlier in last year, we don't have no water, we had no rains, and we had fires that we've never seen before. We never create them problems, but we have to deal with it. So, Madam Speaker, because of the importance of this loan, Madam Speaker, and it has nothing to do because whether an election is going to be held now or next month or the other month, the work of the government continues. The work of the people never stops. That is why we're bringing these loans right now. So I'm therefore most pleased to table this loan motion for consideration by this Honorable House, and I look forward to its unanimous support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I recognize the Leader of Opposition, member for Mesopotamia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Member from Orange Walk Central, make up your mind. When you complain that you want a strong opposition, if I would just sit here and be a mute, you would complain and say that that is a weak opposition. Me and the member from Collett actually agree on the deplorable suspicions as to the terrible timing of these loans. And we are working together to hold you accountable. That's what a democracy is, sir. A democracy means asking questions. A democracy means putting on record the things that we have concerns about, but you don't want that. You want us to sit down. You want to be like some of your other opposition friends, I won't call any name. You want to just sit down and clap. You want to sit down and clap, and then I will be okay, but never. I will fall on my sword standing up rather than be on my knees to the PUP. So that is why I'm here, sir. I have a responsibility to the people of this country, to every motion, every bill, to get up and to offer the concerns that we have as an opposition, Madam Speaker. So I am happy that Belize City will get assistance. I am happy that San Pedro Town will get assistance. But the problem is, Madam Speaker, that this government has no credibility. So when they say that the motion says X, Y, and Z, and they read out the recitals, you can't believe in this government, Madam Speaker. Again, they talk about debating on the facts. The fact is the teachers are protesting because they can't get their pay. So you talk about borrowing. I never thought the day, Madam Speaker. I used to sit in Parliament, in the galleries, Madam Speaker, from 2014 thereabouts. I would come to every single House meeting, Madam Speaker, and I was a student, and I would listen to the members exchange and debate. And the member from Orange Walk Central, I think at that time he was not leader of the opposition because they were playing musical chairs. I think the member from Freetown was leader of the opposition. But Madam Speaker, this government used to complain about borrowing and how borrowing means that you are incompetent as a government. And now here is this honorable member from Orange Walk Central bragging about how they know how to borrow. But I thought if you were growing the economy at these record numbers, you would not need to borrow. Because I know that the member from Toledo East, I don't know, I think it's he went to a university in Sinaola or Tijuana or one of them places. I know I get into the credibility as to your doctorate. Well, I left that alone because you're my good friend from Caribbean Shores, right? You live the Caribbean Shores, but the representative from Toledo East. I left that alone. But I don't need any of you guys to come in here and try to be so educated and so smart that you're ignoring the failure to invest these so-called savings and these loans that you claim you're borrowing, not to pay bills, So you they borrow for invest. It's like someone getting money to put on a good outfit, but not pay their rent, not take care of their kids. What sense does that make, that you come here and try to brag about how you know how to borrow so that you could invest? But the most important investment, such as our teachers, our firefighters, our stevedores, the hard-working women and men of this country continue to complain. They are punishing, they are suffering under this government. It has been 5 years and life has not improved. So when you talk about how much of a specialist you are in borrowing money, yes, we know that the PUP know if you borrow the super bond. You know how to load up this country with billions of dollars on the backs of the Belizean people, and they have nothing to show for it. 4 years of borrowing and your healthcare system is broken. 4 years of borrowing. I say 5 years because we're at the 5-year mark, a few months away. Right? And you have not given the 10,000 homes that you promised. 5 years of borrowing and you have not alleviated poverty. So, Mr. Speaker, forgive the opposition for not believing in Plan Belize. Plan Belize has turned out to be a scam because nothing that they have promised has come to be. And I'm glad that one of the members mentioned they tried to cast aspersions as to how monies that were borrowed under the UDP just disappeared. So please, tell us, where are all these loans going? Because it is not going to the benefit of the Belizean people. And this is not a lie. It is not a lie that the teachers are protesting because they have not gotten the monies that you promised them. With all of the, what you call it, fiscal space, Dr. Toledo East, the fiscal space that you have, with all of your fiscal space, you can't find the money to take care of the pensioners. You can't find the money to take care of the teachers, to take care of the firefighters, to take care of the stevedores. So forgive the opposition, Mr. Speaker, for not believing in the lies of this administration, because that is all it has amounted to be. Billions of dollars borrowed. Quintessential PUP. Borrow all of the money and it disappears and the people don't benefit. Then the member from Orange Walk Central, you know, I know that the former leader of the PUP, the national hero, George Price, was a praying man. But they're like, you want to blame everything for everybody except your government. So climate resilient don't mean climate resilient. The last time I checked in the dictionary, climate resilient meant withstanding extreme weather. Extreme everything. Now you're redefining what climate resilient means. Come on. The people, Mr. Speaker, as I close, are not benefiting from the loans that this government is borrowing. We are not seeing it, Mr. Speaker. We are not seeing it. It is a contradiction of the reality. It is a contradiction of the policies of fiscal strength and robust growth of GDP that they brag about. So why do you need to be an expert in borrowing? Anybody will tell you, if you don't need to borrow, it's better not to borrow. Why do you need to borrow if your economy is so strong? Because when you borrow, yes, I know some of these rates are concessionary and low, but still it is better not to borrow, Mr. Speaker. And we would want to give some type of applause if we would be seeing the benefits of these loans, Mr. Speaker, but we are not seeing it. It is quintessential PUP. They will load up the Belizean people with loans. We will have a super bond by the time the UDP gets into government the next term. We will uncover all types of those billions of dollars in loans that have gone to nothing except cronies and malfeasance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Dangriga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I guess like my friend from Cayo South, Mr. Speaker, I didn't plan to make remarks, at least during this portion of our debate, but I am forced to stand to make a few remarks. It is not just that, it's not just a fact that all countries borrow around the world. It is that indeed, as Prime Minister mentioned, it is a necessity to borrow. And you can look at, even at the household level, you can look at the community level, municipal level, you can look at the national level, and I would like to find any one of these levels across countries around the world that have not used borrowing. The question is, do you borrow in a prudent way? And do you take the borrowings and invest and get returns that then empower your nation to be able to produce more and to make your population more productive, and by way of that, increase the quality of life of your people, and by way of that, being able to have a higher level of quality of life across your society. And that is precisely what we have been doing here, led by our own Prime Minister. In the Briceño administration, it is clear, crystal clear, that that approach is what has been done. Now, I had whispered to my friend here from Toledo East that I thought that the member from MESOP was going to stand up now this time around and give us credit for this last motion. First of all, it is very rare. I don't know if in the history of our loans in Belize that we have been able to achieve such excellent terms for our people than with this loan motion that we are presenting today. The term, the length of the loan, the principal period of forgiveness, if you will, the very, very low interest rates are never heard before. And then to hear that, in fact, the credibility of my friend from Toledo East, from his degree, and just for everybody's information, he graduated from the number 4 ranked university in all of Latin America, by the way, University of Baja California. So let us put that on the record. All right, let us put that on the record. Well, go and check the listing of universities in Latin America, and you will be able to confirm what I just said. But really, at the end of the day, right, it is about the productivity, it's about the track record of what has been done. And I believe it goes without saying that the track record for my colleague from Toledo East is very clear as a CEO and as a young member of this parliament, without a doubt. So even if he didn't have a doctorate, it is by that we would have judged his performance. This loan motion, colleagues, Madam Speaker, I want to stand up and commend Prime Minister, commend Minister of State Cowie and all of those who were involved in making this happen. Because indeed, in a sense, we have graduated as a country above the levels of the criteria that the World Bank uses to be able to put us in this category to receive these kinds of concessionary terms. But clearly, through great leadership, great skill, we were able to get them to recognize that Belize indeed deserves to receive these terms and conditions that this loan that we are about to agree upon for our people in our country. I guess I'd like to go on, but I'm going to maybe pause for later on in our discussions, because it is not everything that we should be opposing, unless, of course, we don't understand fully what it is that is in front of us. I would have seriously hoped that this one would have gotten support from everybody in here, because indeed this is historic for us, and this is something that everybody should stand up and commend. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
We go to the member for Corozal North, and then I recognize member for Toledo East, and then
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, here we go again with the kudos and the self-proclamation that we're getting loans at very concessional rates. And we hear some fancy words being brought out here before the House. Bottom line, Madam Speaker, what the masses want to hear is this. We continue to borrow, and to borrow. And where are the results of what we're doing? Part of the funding on these motions, Madam Speaker, loan motions, go directly to climate resilient roads. And why do I bring this issue? And I will make reference to what we have experienced in Corozal North. I brought the issue of the substandard quality of roads being built, particularly in the area of the Remate Road. While we hear from some members in the government side that it is because we're getting excessive rains. Last year we got a long drought, and that these are the kinds of weather conditions that are affecting the quality of the roads. I will refer and I will agree to what the member for College said. Our climate is very resilient to the roads that we're building. And why is that so? Because we are simply not understanding that what the government is currently doing in terms of designing these roads is not meeting the purpose that it is intended to meet. And so here we go again, spending on the same formula and getting the kinds of results that we are getting. We heard it from the member of Cayo South. We're building a road in southern Belize. It's just in the process of being built, and it is already showing patches. What is that telling us? There is a flaw in the design. There is a flaw in the area that we are not looking at very carefully. If we're finding excuses, and the excuses, oh, because we got one lot of rain, oh, because there was a long drought, then why are we not concentrating on the areas that we need to concentrate? If we know that these are the conditions that we're going to have presently, these conditions are going nowhere, then we need to look at the entire design program to see where the flaws are, so that if we're getting these fundings at very concessionary rates, but the results are intended are not meant, then we're defeating the purpose. I am just seeing what's going to happen here going forward into 5 years. We're going to come back at this very same house to basically present another set of loan motions to basically fix what was not done properly. I will take us to Corozal North. I had complained about the substandard quality of the road. It went on deaf ears. According to the technical people in the ministry, according to the engineers, everything was in order. 1 year after it has been built, flaws are already showing. Don't go far, Madam Speaker. I heard the minister, I heard the member from Cayo South indicating that, look, we have built hundreds of miles of roads, and that there are certain small patches where we are seeing the defects. For those of us who live in Corozal, there is an area right in front of the Remate Lagoon, probably half mile, That road, Madam Speaker, was built completely. It was chip and sealed, not even a year now. That road has been completely destroyed, and now they're redoing it again. This road was meant to be climate resilient. What is wrong with what? There is something wrong in the way that we're doing this. My biggest concern here is that, look, we're getting additional funding precisely to build roads that are climate resilient, but we are not seeing the results on the ground. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I'm going to go in the order that I mentioned because I'd given notice, right? Member for Toledo East.
Toledo East?
Yes. It's in the order that I stated before, and then I'm going to go now to the new members who are asking.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will not be back and forth, and I won't entertain the words of ignorance used by the leader of the opposition against my degree. I don't have nothing to prove to him. We got two true. No, but I'm referring to not to the real one. Yes. When he can go and check the university, and then he will see what kind of grades I got there. You know, I don't know if he will ever achieve those grades. And the sacrifice, right? So we don't know if you will ever get there, sir.
High school.
Yes, you know. But that's the least. I'm not here to deal with that. We are here to do the people's work. And I invite the leader of the opposition to come to Toledo East and let him see the work that is being done there. You know, I was not known, he said, in the past, and he lost by 70%. But let me get into the real meat of the matter here, Madam Speaker. The most important part is today that it's a memorable day for Belize. It's a historical day. And I will invite the opposition, I will invite the country of Belize to pay key attention to this motion, because it's one that it was done in a collective effort with the management of the World Bank, the executive directors of the World Bank. And I would like to inform the Belizean people that for the first time in history, 68% of the voting power, which is the executive directors of the World Bank, came to Belize, and they met with cabinet. For the first time, they were given a tour by our Deputy Prime Minister and our Minister responsible for Home Affairs, Lekai and Caribbean Shores. And proudly, I voted for him in the past. And they give them a tour, the executive directors. The executive directors. The executive directors walk. Yeah. The executive directors walk. You know. Madam Speaker, I would really want the leader of the opposition to listen to this. He needs, I mean, that was distractions why he didn't complete his high school degree, you know. But, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, on a point of order, I graduated with honors. No, I graduated with honors from high school.
Okay.
And
Noted
dropped out
leader of opposition
New
graduated
York
from
City
high school.
Technical College to sign a multi-million-dollar deal. And so I have accomplished far more than you have with your PhD.
Let's continue, please, on the loan motion.
It's so sad to hear those little things. But yes. You know, the reality is that we have to work for the people, sir. You know, and Madam Speaker, 68% of the voting power of the executive director for the first time walked outside Belize City. And they look at the needs. They understand the needs. They manage to appreciate the needs of the people in the south side, of their vulnerability, of their multidimensional vulnerability, which is socioeconomic, and also the issues related to climate. And then, together, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, we managed to become eligible to IDA. And I will tell you how important this is. It's so important that the IDA was, countries that would become eligible for IDA would only be those that are small island development states. So under the United Nations, Belize is considered a small island development state. But under the World Bank, because we have land borders with Guatemala and Mexico, we are not considered a small island development state. So it went as far, and we, as a government and as a country, I want to put on record to say thank you to the World Bank, because they had to change their policy. And you know, the most difficult thing within the World Bank is to change a policy. They changed a policy that now it was not, for Belize to become eligible, they changed it from small island development states to small development states. So they removed the island, you know, but that was a collective effort with Belize and the World Bank. I want to put on record as well that I'm so grateful, and I want to say thank you to the Prime Minister, his cabinet, and this honorable house, that with this loan, Punta Gorda, that was neglected for so many years, 13 years of punishment, no, they will finally see drainage in the Magoon area, the Cerro, Indianville. Man, I want you all to see some pictures that I will send to you. Cerro have never seen a piece of rocks on the street, a load of gravel. I know that we have started to work with them, and I must put on record as well a big thank you to our minister of MIDH and his team, because they have done a fantastic job. You know, those people have been working on mud, kids going to school, elder people that will have to go maybe to get health assistance. The regular man going to work on a daily basis had to walk through mud. And if you don't believe me, I have videos, because I don't come here without the facts. I have the facts. And so on behalf of Toledo East and the capital, the chocolate capital, I want to say thank you to the World Bank, to the Prime Minister, and to the Cabinet, and to this honorable house.
I recognize the member for Colette, and then I'll go to the member for Cayo South afterwards. Recognize the member for Colette, then I'll go to the member for Cayo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Two simple points. One, I wanted to respond to something the Prime Minister said. He said that he hopes that we on this side who are from Belize City, that we support the bill or the motion, and that we don't speak against it. If I'm correct, Deputy Prime Minister and Member for Lekai, when the World Bank people were here, I had met you at some function, and you had mentioned to me that you would have taken the World Bank people to do some kind of tour and you would have included my constituency. And I was very happy about that. So I'm happy to see definitely that there is some outcome to that. And so I am happy to see that there is something for the people of the south side of Belize City, as well as other impoverished areas of our country. But for the Prime Minister to say that we should not say anything and we should not comment on this motion reminds me very much of what is happening right now as we prepare for these elections. Yesterday, you know, we're gearing up for elections, both sides campaigning. I went to a home yesterday. I went to several homes, and the theme is resounding as I go to the homes. But one particular lady said to me, he said, Honorable Faber, he said, your opponent came here, not the lady, the one way, no, non-entity, the one from the People's United Party.
He said, the man offer me so. Yeah, but you know what I want there? He said that he offered me some zinc and plywood. And I told him that what Father has done for me, because he assisted me through the government when he was Minister of Education with my education, and I have a good paying job as a result, and everybody in this neighborhood has a good education and has a good job as a result and can work and buy their own materials that they need in order to make a living. They have uplifted themselves. That is how you know that there's no chance in Khaled. Not for Miss Paredes or not for the other guy. We don't want the charity, and we don't want you to come and throw things in our face on the appointed time. And that is what I remembered when the Prime Minister came and said, yeah, we'll not say nothing because we come to do you a leave favor now and throw this for you. The people of the south side of Belize City, but all impoverished people, deserve the service of the government. You know many people on the south side, right there in my constituency, and I could talk foolishness if you don't want about how many years I represent. My friend from Lake, I represent the same or more years than me. And we represent the same kind of people, which is why I appreciated when he came to me and he said, Father, I want to carry them on the tour in your constituency too. My friend from Port Loyola will agree, because the three of our constituencies interlock. And we got the same set of people. And if I tell you how many of our people still don't have, we will give monies to BWS to extend the sewer system. You know how much of them they have on toilet? So how they want to connect to any sewer system? My friend, the member from Kaya South, the minister with responsibility for housing, will tell you, although I will confess that whenever I call him, he's very nice to me, but not a single starter home has been built in the College constituency. Not one of my people have gotten any of those homes that you boasted about. Plan Belize has failed our people insofar as that housing thing has been touted. Another 2.0, 1.0 not executed yet. That is very, very real. And there are other things. You know, you've heard about the teachers demonstrating. The teachers didn't demonstrate for some allowance. What did Plan Belize promise the teachers? A 20% pay raise. Why they? What we could borrow for invest. And we could kick payments down the road, which takes me to my second point, Madam Speaker. Concessionary rates, wonderful, beautiful. Prime Minister said we can't argue with it. 0.75% interest, beautiful. Can't argue with that. But what I can argue with is these payments being kicked so far down the road. 2035 to 2044, is it? 10 years from now, the Prime Minister will not be in this house. 20 years from now, in fact, the full payment schedule is 40 years. 10 years of this, in fact, we don't even have to pay. We're forgiven any payments for 10 years. And the truth of the matter is, by the time the payments become due, which you might say, in fact, I brought this point up one time already. I know the Prime Minister said, well, we will grow the economy to be able to pay it. Truth of the matter is, you won't be around and you might not remember what is going on. When these payments become due, it is a saddling of the backs of our young people with loan payments. 2 loan payments per year. That's what it is. of $748,000? Is it? Or for the first 10 years, 374,000 twice a year, and then 748,000, and then the credit B is 800,000 for how many payments? 12 equal semi-annual payments, $800,000. This on top of all the payments, it is this same kind of kicking the pan down the road, robbing Peter to pay Paul, setting up of bullet payments, which I don't see today, but we see them come up from time to time, that caused us to land in the problem that was the super bond created by the People's United Party. And Madam Speaker, we are seeing the same pattern again developing. It might not have been $3 billion, as was said earlier. It is $2.3 billion from our calculation, and we can show you every single loan that came to this house. And what you are borrowing today is another $200 million. So for the record, in 4 years and a few months, this government has borrowed $2.5 billion. Fact. $2.5 billion. Whatever fiscal space you're talking about has been eaten up a long time. In fact, if you had fiscal space, you would not need to go to the Taiwanese to ask them to defer payments. And yes, Prime Minister, you used the word cash flow. You said that it was in order to get you cash flow, to improve cash flow. If you have fiscal space, you don't need to do that. So, make no mistake, and we sound the alarm this afternoon, Madam Speaker, in this honorable house. We will keep sounding the alarm. In fact, we have been sounding the alarm. What is happening here today is the borrowing of another $200 million in a rush. But if you add that to the $2.3 billion that has already been borrowed, it brings the total to $2.5 billion. And if that's not alarming for you, remember that the United Democratic Party puts on record today that this is exactly how we ended up with the super bond. Borrowing, putting off, kicking the pan down the road. The only thing I don't see yet is the commercial style borrowing, which will come when they get so desperate and they can't borrow anymore at the concessionary rates. When they rupture their relationships with the multilaterals and the IFIs, when they do that, then they become so desperate, they will have to turn to the commercial borrowers. We see, I am telling you, I've sat here for 22 years and I've seen it. And it's playing out just like that again. It's deja vu all over again. And we have to sound the alarm. Let us not go down this road again. So I caution, Madam Speaker, while on the paper, I cannot say that it is for a bad purpose. This is poverty alleviation. The people, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can fight for my people. I can want the people in the College constituency to have good sewer systems. I want them to be able to connect their toilets to the sewer system and not have to put it into Crewman Lagoon. I want them to be able to not have to purchase a septic tank. I want them to be able to do that. And I can expect that of the government. At the same time, I can oppose a loan if I feel that it does not meet the proper criteria that will make us accountable, that will, of course, Madam Speaker, not saddle our children. I have 4 children who I want to make sure, Madam Speaker, they're not saddled down the road. And this kind of borrowing that you're doing here will saddle my children 30 years down the road. 30 years from now, I will be 77 years old. I might still be living. I might still be here too. God forbid, no. I came in young so I can get out young. But many of us who are here will not be here 30 years from now. I have seen it. I have seen people come and go in this honorable house. With the exception of the Honorable Prime Minister, the member from Lakei, the member from Freetown, I think, everybody else, I see them come and go. My friend from Rural Central Ghana come back. And I see my brother from Stan Creek, West Ghana come back. So, you know, they play musical chairs sometimes. But 30 years from now, our children will be carrying this loan, this particular loan. And it is not fair. Then when I remember, they didn't know nothing about water connection and sewer system and all of that. They would have to be carrying this loan because we got a free ride today. Because we kicked the pan down the road. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I recognize the member for Cayo, so
Afternoon, Madam Speaker. It's a pity the gentleman from Corozal North is not here. When we mean the grow up, they used to say you throw hand and you pull back. This is the 3rd time, huh? Throw stone and hide your hand. This is the 3rd time or maybe 4th time, Madam Speaker, that the honorable gentleman from Corozal North has been complaining about the Remate Road. This is the 5th time that I am telling him, show me where it is, come visit us. I have a text, I want to read it, Madam Speaker, that I had sent to Polytechnica, which is the consultant for that road, after the last time that he mentioned it. And it says here, based on the last defects inspection visited by us consultants, Polytechnica, we have no report of such damages. We have seen some minor inconsistencies on the pedestrian crossing near Escuela Mexica, which has been dealt with the contractor. We have no reports of damage on the Remate Road by the consultant, nor the project execution unit. Our last inspection was a month ago. Also, please note that the liability defects period goes until February the 25th. Madam Speaker, this gentleman comes to the House and makes accusations, and he is given the opportunity to see, to analyze, to discuss with the foreign consultants, to discuss with the local engineers, and he has refused to do so. I am extending the invitation once again if he is serious. I hate dealing with hypocrites, and I want you to stand as a man to show where we are doing any erroneous work in your area, and I guarantee you that it will be addressed. I've told you this personally. I've told you this downstairs in the House of Representatives. I've told you in front of your colleagues, and I am telling you again, if you have a genuine concern based on facts, bring it to us and we will address it. You have the number of the engineers, I gave it to you. You know the number of where my office is. I think you have my number. I don't share it with anyone, but I will share it with you if you, I think the leader of the opposition has it, right? You have it, Nacho Mabara? Yes. I just monitor when you call me because I'm not too sure what you want to say. And addressing the situation from the member of Collet. We have Presently, we have 3 people from Collet that their houses are about to be completed in the Blackberry development. The member from Mesop has 6 out of 9 houses that have been built. 3 are waiting. And the member from Albert, I believe, has 2 that has been allocated for the Blackberry area. That's on the list that will be handed up. I am not sure of the member from Corozal North because he's a very quiet man that doesn't express himself, so I'm not sure. But we have built houses for the opposition, even though the member from Mesop gone on TV and say he not dey build no house. Whenever you say that, you say why we want to go to a bank and borrow the money for build the house. Right that way you say, right? Well, which sector do you cater for? The rich? Write off what? Why you write off if you can't get a house? How you write it off if they have not given a house? Which indigent? Madam Speaker, this young man from Mesop, he is a fraud.
Madam Speaker,
You know? No.
But that's a nice word.
Oh, no, let's
That's
please.
not a bad.
Let's
that's not
take that back.
You want me to take back the word fraud that I said
No,
of
you
the
said
leader of the opposition? I can take it back, Madam Speaker.
Please.
From my heart, I won't, but I will do it publicly.
Please, on the record, it's not there.
Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, he went to one of the television stations in this country and he said that he is not building any of the houses that we are doing the starter homes because he wants the indigent or the poor people of Belize to go to a bank to borrow money to be able to build the house. Well, that, Madam Speaker, is a far-right capitalist point of view.
I did not say that, Madam Speaker, on a point of order. I did not
But
say that.
1 second.
I'm not giving him permission to stand, Madam Speaker. Thank you. Madam Speaker, the houses that we have built are being built for people that do not have the opportunity to go to one of your bankers, member from Mesop. They do not have that opportunity. What this government is doing is giving them that opportunity to own something that they can now mortgage, go to the bank, either to expand their homes or to further the education or the health needs of the family. This is not something I am making up, Madam Speaker. This is a proven fact. Of the hundreds of homes that we have built already, about 20 to 25% of them, the homeowners, have gone to secure additional financing to be able to increase the size. They have been able to use the mortgage on those properties to be able to borrow so that their children can further their education. But you know why I pity these people from the other side that even criticize the program? It is because they, on that side, and us on this side, we have the privilege of knowing what it is to have a roof over our head. So we look at it as an insignificant contribution to society. I was speaking to one of ours that, just like you, vehemently opposes the concept. And I asked him the same. Have you ever, or any one of your children, have they ever experienced not having shelter over their heads? And the answer was no, Madam Speaker. And so if you have never experienced that, then how can you criticize somebody that for the first time in their life has been given that opportunity to own something or to have a roof over their head? This gentleman here, the member from Lake Independence, has gone publicly to express to the nation how having shelter above his head at the time when his family needed it made an immense impression on his life, advanced his psyche, made him who he is today. I'm not saying only that, but it contributed immensely to the pride of ownership. and I didn't refer to you, member from Colette, because you didn't complain about the building of the house. You only complained that you didn't get as much as you wanted. And you want to get more, you want to get more, you want to get more. But when I come from the same hood, and so when he say reflects on you, you understand? You know reflect when he say not reflect on you? The member from college said publicly, if the member from Mesop dead, you know, I'll bury him. You agree with that too, Madam Albert?
Members, can we get back to the...
I'm just repeating what was said publicly, Madam Speaker. One say, you know, I build no house. The next one say, you want more house. You get 3 already. You get 3 already. Then there are Blackberry. 3. You want more? Yes, 3 bars. I give you already. No, you. Not for your people. I could get the names. And I have the names for the member from Albert also. And I got the 6 names for him. Well, I know determine it. You know determine it. There's a committee that decides on depending on the people that apply. You know? You get, well, remember the one where we built for the lady 2-story, we hold like 6 families in your constituency. You don't remember that? You never invited? The lady never invite you? Oh my God. Well, what want I do if your constituent don't invite you? I know they invite Finnegan. Finnegan will call me and tell me that the house look beautiful. The man said, boy, when I'm a minister, I wish I could do one like this. Pacha, my brother Finnegan is your uncle, but he's not my belly. You have to understand this. If I had your work, I say I hang out with Lee Mark.
Members, loan motion, loan motion.
Loan motion. We love the houses that we are building, not for us. It is for the people that need it the most. And if the Prime Minister gives me the opportunity again, I will bother him again and again and again. That housing program affects the lives of people directly. Oh, and the person on our side that thinks like you say, but those people don't help our economy. And I watch steel coal in my eye. I can't tell you. No. I watch her in her eye. I tell her, how can you say they are not positively affecting the economy when somebody gets a house, automatically that area, at least the household, crime reduces. That person now has excess liquidity to go and buy more products, so he pay GST. That person allows his children or her children to be educated, so those people with time will become productive citizens of this country. You understand what I say? That is what we are doing, honorable members from the other side. We are changing lives, one house at a time, one house at a time. Well, I go towards the 10, and there are 500. How you want to tell me? No, Madam Speaker, let me respond to this. How can this gentleman over there tell me that 500 families have shelter over their head and that is a joke? You said building of 500 houses is a joke. Seven. No, I'm repeating what you said. You said 500 houses being built is a joke.
Members, may I remind you anything that is said off mic is not on record.
Huh? Well, I'm a YB on 5-year plan, but
Can we get back loan motion?
No, but you know what's good about this, Madam Speaker? This is a positive debate, right or wrong? It is a positive debate. We are lobbying for the most needy of this country. And in this term, we were given the opportunity with the budget provided to build over 500 houses. It no matter if I'm saying a million, not me, the government of Belize entrusted our ministry to change the lives of people, and we have done so up to now of over 500. You can't say that's not a joke. You know, get me for saying anything negative about my Bali Finnegan. Because I know when the man hang out with Lee Mark, I tell you. And once, you have to understand, you inherited a constituency that your uncle gave to you. No, your seat next election, we will see it being played out. Well, I'm think Tracy or Patrick may have whopped you, but I don't know what's going on. They say illegal, may I see? The courts haven't decided yet, right? Okay. Prime Minister, you wait for the judgment before you call it? Prime Minister, I think you should make we get this thing off our chest. Call the thing, man. Make we say what happened. Make we go build more house. Make we stop wasting time to argue with the people and make we go do the work that the people voted us to do. Thank you very much.
I recognize the member for Albert.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have sat here since midday, Madam Speaker, and a lot of time has been spent on hits below the belt. It's interesting what we are teaching our children. Some of us who aspire to lead this nation, Madam Speaker, continues to disrespect and be dismissive of the very people they want to serve. Madam Speaker, as I campaign in Albert and throughout this country, what I hear the Belizean people saying is this: make it make sense for us. And when we kick down the road $260.8 million, and at the same time borrow an additional $210 million, when the Belizean people, particularly the most marginalized and vulnerable, continue to struggle with the day-to-day necessities, Madam Speaker. It does not make sense. Madam Speaker, how many of our young people are locked out of our economy? We talk about programs that help to incentivize and provide support for young entrepreneurs and women, and to support micro and small businesses, Madam Speaker. But the truth of the matter is, only 50% of our population feels the impact of that. The 50% that supports the People's United Party. The practice in this country has become that when my government is in office, the UDP supporters are helped. And when the People's United Party government is in office, the people who support the People's United Party get help. There is no way, Madam Speaker, that loan after loan after loan after loan to the tune of $2.5 billion in 4.5 years can only seek to support half of our population. How can we, Madam Speaker, expect to grow the national economy in a way that makes sense to the most vulnerable and marginalized in this country? Where is the support, Madam Speaker, for the productive sector How many sugar roads have we dealt with since the rains? And it's still, the farmers still cannot get their cane to the mill. Food on the table, Madam Speaker, that's a real issue for families. Yes, I know about cane. On the south side of Belize City. I've called the CABSEC on many occasions, Madam Speaker, because the PUP representative who has never won an election, who is making her first bid, is able to access food assistance from the government, and I, who serve, who was elected by the people, have to beg on bended knee to get 50 bags of pantry to help the most vulnerable in Albert. Madam Speaker, just yesterday, my opponent received quite a generous supply of pantry bags. And when I called, thank you, Member for Toledo West. And when I called to find out what happened to the small number of grocery bags that the Prime Minister's office himself promised that we would get, the supplier explained to me, Madam Speaker, that my opponent has to get her grocery bags first because she is running for the PUP.
Let me hear member. The member for Albert is on. I'm going to ask this nicely. Please respect 42B.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. But if that is not egregious enough, how many Belizeans, Madam Speaker, have access to affordable and quality health care? I think the one member of cabinet that I have called more than the rest has been the Minister of Health. And I say publicly to you, member for Orange Walk East, that the people of Albert have appreciated that you have responded to the call whenever I have gone for assistance. But it cannot be, Madam Speaker, that the only time a member of Albert or a member of the South Side can get assistance or have access to these government services is somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. And I happen to have the number of my colleague from Orange Walk East, so I can get some level of support for those who are in dire need of quality and affordable health care. Madam Speaker, you don't have to take my word for it. Go on any social media platform, and on any given day, Madam Speaker, people are fundraising for basic health care needs. That is a fact. Madam Speaker, where are the loans that will help us to have greater protection in the workplace? These are the things that the people of this country are asking for. Yes, infrastructure is important. And whining and dining 70% of high-ranking officials from the IDA might be important. But it can't be, Madam Speaker, more important than the quality of life, the living conditions for the people I represent. And that's the people on the south side. Economic engineering was a thing that the former Minister of Belize Rural Central, Ralph Fonseca, was very good at. And it seems that you learned.
A point of order, Madam Speaker. I have not heard
What's
for
the
a
point of
moment
order?
that the honorable member from Albert is now speaking on the loan motion. She's still going all over the place. Speak to the loan motion. I'm not saying that
Member for
respectfully.
Mesopotamia.
She is a lady, but she's also a member of the House. She needs to go to it.
Mesopotamia, that doesn't contribute at all, and it's quite nonsensical. Member for Albert, can we please? It is nonsensical. The statement is, member for Albert, you can continue. My same comment, the same comment I've made to the former speaker from Kayaso. We're on the loan motion, so let's tie that in, please.
I'm absolutely on the loan motion, Madam Speaker. We're talking about $2.5 billion in loans. And we're talking about a US $23.5 million over a period of 40 years. And the Prime Minister says we're kicking down the road $261 million in loans so we can create economic space and we can improve our cash flows position so we could borrow another $210 million. If that is not economic engineering, I don't know what is, Madam Speaker. And I know the truth hurts, but it has to make sense for the Belizean people. And it has to make sense for the most vulnerable in our communities. And we all agree that the south side of Belize City is a vulnerable population. And we agreed, my colleague from Toledo East, that the
42B, member for Freetown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's the level of disrespect that gets me every time. You signed the secret agreement, you know. You signed the secret agreement. May I, Madam Speaker? Thank you. Down south is also where we see the highest concentration of impoverished communities. That's a fact. You know, while a former member for Belize Rural Central, Ralph Fonseca, spoke about economic engineering, you know what he also introduced? Trickle-down economics. Well, there is none of that that has been evident in this administration. You don't have to take my word for it. I invite our Honorable Prime Minister to join me in some of the most vulnerable spots in Albert. He has visited Port Loyola with a member from Port Loyola, and he has visited Lake Eye with a member from Lake Eye. So I invite you, Honorable Prime Minister, to come and see for yourself what happens when we only feed 50% of our population. When we are not committed, Madam Speaker, to floating the most boats, because Thank you. 50% of our population eats. The time has come. And I say that to the members on the government side, and I say it to us here on this side. When Belizeans must be placed first. Because no matter your political ideology, no matter your religious beliefs, no matter your economic status, your place in this country matters. And economic integration must apply to all Belizeans. Make it make sense, Madam Speaker. You see, and I will wrap up. The success, our success as a government, our success as a National Assembly, our success as leaders in our respective constituencies should not be measured by how well we take care of the rich. It should always be measured by how we care for those who are struggling. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the honorable member from Alberta has no moral authority to come and preach to this National Assembly. And I say that because for 13 years her government, she was in government. And what did it do for this country? This country got poorer under UDP. Education went down under UDP. Houses were not built under the UDP. The people that needed the house were not getting the house under the UDP. And you know what is the worst of the hypocrisy, Madam Speaker? Is that she comes here to say that we are not sharing with them. For the first time ever, let's start off. Have you ever asked me? No, we don't know. I listened to you quietly. I listened to you quietly, Madam Albert, honorable member from Albert. Do you know how much pantry bag I get when I was in opposition, Madam Speaker? Zero. Not one. Not one. When all I want me to get the pantry. All I want me to get. None from this side. Julius, how much you may get? Cordell? Yeah. We get none. But the people in Alberta get pantry. That's the point. They are getting pantry. It doesn't not matter. That's wait, man. I did not interrupt you.
Members, the Prime
Madam
Minister
Speaker, I did not
is
interrupt.
yes, and members, the cross. I will ask members. Are we good now? Can the cross bantering please be put on pause so that the Prime Minister can do his wrap-up?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is the hypocrisy of the other side. I did not want to go and to do this with the honorable member from Albert, but the hypocrisy that they're not getting when we were in opposition, we get nothing. What, remember the culvert? The Prime Minister then boasted in the house and gave the culvert. Did you ever get a culvert? Nothing. 5,000. When you are giving 90,000 to the opposition, Madam Albert, you benefited. You get 90,000. We get 5,000. That's what we got. 5,000. Here we are now. Here we are, Madam Speaker. Here we are now. We came up with a constituency development fund. We came with a constituency development fund, Madam Speaker. On the other side, they get the same constituency development fund that this side get. I know you come here and talk. How dare you? How dare you? The hypocrisy, man. What help did we get? I never get a single house when I was in the opposition. Not a single house. How much scholarships you get right now under the honorable member from Freetown? You get, but you never, but you only me thank Kevin? Yes? Yes? Or the most? Mhm. When you all ask me for help, and I thought I'm here to help, we don't talk about that, man. But then when you come here to come and to pontificate, 13 years, the people in Albert were 13 years in poverty under you, under the UDP. It is under this government that more and more of them are working. More and more of them are working, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have challenges? Of course we have. I always say, we have done a lot of work. We have done a lot of work. When you were speaking, I listened to you politely, man. I never do, calm down, man. I listened to you, man.
Why is there a why is there a speaker in this chamber? I find this utterly disrespectful. Utterly. If you don't want a referee for your debates, tell me and I will leave. But this is disrespectful. Please, man.
Thank you,
Honourable
Madam
Prime
Speaker.
Minister.
But you see, you get worked up when they come here like hypocrites in this house. And they come here pontificate. All of a sudden, we have to worry about everybody. When for 13 years, you never do nothing for us, man. 13 years, our Orange Central get punished. 13 years, our Orange Town Council get punished because they vote PUP. And here we are to work with everybody. We try to do as much as we can for everybody. The honorable member from the minister from housing had to come and know, we get houses for in the area. It doesn't matter. You're getting. The point is that we are working with you. The point is, you get land. You never get land? Thank you, man. Exactly. The point is, Madam Speaker, the point,
There's no left to Albert. There's no left to Albert.
Actually, I'm thinking of that. It's so not worth it here. Member for Honourable Prime Minister, please continue. I will ask, please, let the Prime Minister wrap up. We are not even through with motions yet.
I don't eat yet, Madam Speaker. But it gets you work up when you come here and pontificate, man. We have been acting differently. We've been working with you. We're not perfect, but we work with you, man. We give you education. We give you with help. We help fix our streets in our constituencies. We give you house lots. We give you the constituency development fund. And when we come with education, when you get 90,000 in a phono side, we used to get 5,000. But that's what happened. But why you never said that just now? When you come to pontificate, when you talk, Whitman, I know the talk about the Musa government. I talk about we government right now. I'm talking about we government of what we're doing. And yes, I agree with you now, that once we get in, when we get in here, we don't know a PUP government, we are the government for the people of this country. And that is the difference between UNO and this side. But to get to the loan, Madam Speaker, and then the issue about healthcare, we have NHI, we spread out NHI, we have about quality healthcare. Watch over 200,000 people. Now, mind you, people get cancer, they get people brain too. Mind you, I'm going to say we take care of all of that, but we provide quality primary health care, man. We go correct in the right direction, man. Yes, the free education, we go correct. But sit there and kind of things, man. At least, at the very least you could do is to accept the good work that we do. But just to try to wrap up, Madam Speaker, we're coming about borrowing. all countries borrow. The great United States of America, the country they borrow. And they borrow more than any other country in the world. China borrow no hell. So now you are come about we not borrowing. We have to borrow. And then we borrow smartly. You see? Like, look at this thing. When people go and ask me for advice, I say, buy John, I try to borrow from a house loan. What do you think? He say, then tell me, you know what, I think I could pay this in 10 years, you know. I tell you, listen to me, sign for 20. And then try paying at 10. But if 1 month you can't make your payment, you still could make that least small payment as opposed to a big payment. This is what we're doing. We don't, they can, right now we pay loans on we make, you know, with the UDP bank. That's what governments do. Yes, and not loans, no have that kind of loans over they get. 0.75%, name me one loan, none. We don't even know what either is. We don't know about anything. This, you're supposed to commend the work over the do, man. You guys will benefit from this. When if someday, God forbid, maybe 40 years from now, you get in a government, who knows? The way that they behave probably might take 40. Point is, what we do is not only for PUP government do not benefit. One future government will be able to have access to these funds. And then you don't saddle the country. We have so many needs. You just pointed out, honorable member from Albert, all the pressing needs that we have in this country, in education, in infrastructure, in health, in housing, in poverty alleviation. We recognize that, and that's what we've been doing every single day to make their people's life better. That is why poverty has gone down under this government. I'm not saying they're rich, but they're not poor like they were under the UDP.
That's right.
The more and more people they work today, and that under the UDP. People are living better today than under the UDP. And you want to see it? You want to see it when we call elections, people will tell you. People will tell you how they feel. So, Madam Speaker, I just want to end again, I wish they wouldn't make something like this so political. A loan whereby it will help our vulnerable population. I help this outside, the sewage that goes in on the south side. We try to fix it. We try to fix it to make the water, the dirty water, not go into the sea. There are kind of things that we do. Yeah, help your people, you know, the south side. So try help. Yes, I help everybody. Exactly. That's my point. We're not here, but you are the one talking about your people. So I'm telling you, yes, it's helping your people. That's why you're supposed to support this loan motion. And you're supposed to congratulate you to say that we could be able to get loans that will take with 40 years to pay, because then you pay less. And you have more opportunities to do more. That's what we do in business. We do that all the time. When we borrow, we try to borrow long to pay short. But we know in a government, the government is not a business like private sector in a sense, but you borrow long so that then you could continue, they get more opportunities to do more work for your people. It's simple, it's common sense, but it seems the other side don't have the common sense. Madam Speaker, please, I end the debate and ask the support for this honorable House.
Oh. That took a lot. Honorable members, that motion is referred to the Finance and Economic Development Committee for examination, consideration, and report. I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, to refer to the motion to Finance and Economic Development and consideration, I seek the indulgence of this honorable House to have this motion taken through all its stages.
Honorable members, the question is that this motion be taken through all its stages this day. All those in favor kindly say aye. Aye. Those against kindly say no. I think the ayes have it. I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, this is the Caribbean Development Bank 7th project additional loan to Belize Electricity Limited, US $6.2 million, extension of the sovereign guarantee motion 2025. With your permission not to read the recitals, I move now therefore be it resolved that this honorable House being satisfied that the additional loan ensures that the 7th power project effectively fulfills its objectives of adequately and reliably connecting the growing village of Kikaka to the grid and improve the livelihood of its citizens, approves and confirms that the government may enter into an extension of the sovereign guarantee agreement with the bank on the terms and conditions set out above, and further authorizes the Minister of Finance to execute and deliver the said guarantee agreement and all other documents associated therewith. And Madam Speaker, this motion has the recommendation of the Cabinet. And before the other side get excited, this is not a loan for the government. It is for BEL. So we are just guaranteeing, yeah, but certain members in the other side might not understand what a sovereign guarantee, right? So just want to make sure. And I don't want to say name, but if you don't say a name and the correct whistle. Madam Speaker, in 2019, BEL secured a $6.84 million US loan from CDB for the 7th power project in Kikaka. This loan was backed by a sovereign guarantee by the government of Belize. Due to Kikaka's continued growth, BEL is requesting an additional loan from CDB in the sum of $6.2 million US to increase the project scope, which requires that the government increase its sovereign guarantee to match the new loan. The additional loan carries an interest rate of 5.6% and is repayable by BEL over 4 years with a 2-year grace period. This project aims to address the rapidly increasing peak electricity demand in Kikaka. Specifically, it will finance the interconnection of the Kikaka to the national grid. We want to run, I think they're already running the cables right now from Kikaka to San Pedro. This interconnection is essential to provide a reliable and sufficient power supply to the island, which is experiencing significant growth. The project will cover the costs associated with the expanded scope, ensuring that the 7th power project can effectively meet the current and projected electricity needs of Kikaka's residents and businesses, support continued economic development, and improve quality of life. To support this BEL project and its objectives, I table this guarantee motion and look forward to its unanimous support. You don't have to talk, man.
I recognize the Leader of Opposition, member from
Say you want
Mesopotamia.
strong opposition, brother. We are there all night. Relax yourself. I just have a question. I'm happy that the people of Kikaka will be getting this type of investment. But the question that I have, or the comment, I believe that the people of Belize would like to know, Fortis is a billion-dollar company and is a partner with BEL. What is their contribution to this project? Thank you.
I recognize the Honorable Prime
Yeah,
Minister.
Madam Speaker, this is a loan. It's not a call for capital. If it is a call for capital, then the shareholders would have to put in from out of their pockets. This is a loan that has been done. But what we have been doing of late, because in some instances, when BL had a cash flow crunch last year, because during the drought and excessive rates, what we did when we loaned them the 10 million, we charge them an interest rate. Although we only charge them a 1%, no, that one we charge them 3%. On this one, I think we're going to charge them 1%, because we don't only want bailout just Fortis for benefit just like that. So we are charging them an interest, a small, like in this case, I think it's only a 1% interest we're charging to provide this facility. So via that, we're asking them. So, Madam Speaker, has support.
Honorable members, that motion is referred to the Finance and Economic Development Committee for examination, consideration, and report. I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I seek the indulgence of this honorable House to have this motion taken through all the stages this day.
Honorable members, the question is that this motion be taken through all its stages this day. All those in favor kindly say aye. Aye. Those against kindly say no. I think the ayes have it. I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, this is the subscription to Multilateral Investment Fund 4, Inter-American Development Bank Subscription Motion 2025. With your permission, Madam Speaker, not to read all the recitals, now therefore be it resolved that this Honorable House, being satisfied that the above-mentioned contributions to the MIF-4 would be beneficial to the interests of Belize, authorizes the Minister of Finance to sign an instrument of acceptance and contribution on all other documents associated therewith. This motion has the recommendation of the Cabinet. Madam Speaker, I will, by way of explanation, I'll speak on both this and the other motion coming up. These are not loan motions, by the way. This is a subscription motion, to you, Madam Speaker. The Multilateral Investment Fund, the 4 or the IMF4, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the IDB Invest, third capital increase in authorized capital stock. As a member of the Inter-American Development Bank, Belize is entitled to benefit from the MIF, the Multilateral Investment Fund, which is administered by the IDB. The IMF, which funds the IDB lab, has a pivotal role in supporting innovation to address development challenges, fostering opportunities for poor and vulnerable populations, catalyzing dynamic economic growth, mitigating climate change, and advancing gender equality and diversity in the Latin America and Caribbean region. Since its inception, the MIF has been replenished periodically, and in March of 2024, the IDP Board of Governors decided to replenish the fund for a fourth round in a sum of $400 million US. Belize has been notified that its contribution towards this $400 million to the MIF4 is $691,699.60 US, payable in 3 equal payments in annual installments of $230,566.53 US dollars, starting July 2025. Belize will benefit from the MIF by way of the IDB lab through accessing to financing, technical advice, trainings, and convening and leveraging power that will assist in the development and implementation of policies, programs, and reforms that align with the focal areas of government's development agenda. The IDB Invest, this is the second one, Madam Speaker. The third capital increase in authorized capital stock in March 2024, the Board of Governors of IDB also approved a $3.5 billion US increase in the bank's authorized capital stock for IDB Invest to support a new business model for IDB Invest. IDB Invest is the private sector arm of the IDB. It finances private sector investments in its member states, including Belize. IDB Invest during our administration to date has entered into over $100 million in financing arrangements with private sector businesses in Belize, including in the agricultural, banking, and utilities sectors. As a member of IDB and IDB Invest, Belize is required to subscribe to 130 of the new allocated shares at a cost of $21,000 US per share, amounting to a total of $2,730,000 US. Payment of these shares is to be done in equal annual installments of $390,000 US over a period of 7 years, commencing the 30th November 2025. Like the MIF, Belize's subscription to its additional shares will enable greater access to financing and technical assistance that will help to advance implementation of government's Plan Belize medium-term development strategy through support and financing for the private sector. Madam Speaker, I look forward to the support of this Honorable House on these two subscriptions. Thanks.
Honorable members, with your indulgence, I will refer both motions instead of going through it individually, since it was presented together. Honorable members, those two motions are referred to the Finance and Economic Development Committee for examination, consideration, and report. Statement.
Statement by Minister.
I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, today is an unprecedented day. I take honor, Madam Speaker, to report to this honorable House and to the nation what is unquestionably a memorable and high point in the history of this nation. I am pleased to report that over 2,500 first-time offenders, persons having a conviction for a COVID-19 offense or possession of cannabis but have no other criminal offense, will have the fines they were ordered to pay to be remitted and their criminal records thereafter be expunged, to be removed, for it to be a thing of the past. This being gazetted, this being achieved by the gazetting earlier this morning of instruments of remissions that were signed by Her Excellency, the Governor General, on the advice of my government. This, Madam Speaker, was done in fulfillment of this administration's commitment to reforming the justice system and the criminal justice system. We continue to deliver on Plan Belize. Now, this process started almost a year ago, so it's no political gimmick. We started almost a year ago with a policy decision taken by Cabinet that persons who are convicted of a COVID-19 offense or possession of cannabis and fined less than $1,000 should not be in prison serving time. We believe on the side of this House, the resources of the state should be better used than paying for incarnation of persons who have a one-time COVID-19 conviction or possession of cannabis. Last year, the Foreign Minister introduced the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Act 2024. This opened the way for what I'm announcing today, for first-time offenders convicted of any COVID-19 related offense or convicted of possession of cannabis to ultimately have their criminal records to be automatically expunged. The policy reasons are also set out in the instruments of remission signed by the Governor General, which I will, with your permission, Madam Speaker, I will shortly read for the record. The policy decision and reason was informed by the experts, including the Bar Association, whose president wrote the government back in 28 February 2024, pointing out that there was, and I quote, no utility to society for keeping them at the central prison, end of quote. At that time, there were 70 prisoners who were incarcerated as a result of their failure to pay the fines ordered by the court for breaches of COVID-19 regulations. But as further pointed out by the Bar Association, this could not be an effective use of the prison system that is confining people to prison when their only infraction would have been an offense that was no longer in the law books or on the law books. For COVID-19 offenses, as we know, Madam Speaker, they have been removed from our laws for a couple of years now. Similarly, there can be no good reason to have a first-time offender, a person who has no other criminal record, to be imprisoned for the possession of cannabis. And so, with the need for a change, this led to my government's crafting, moving and enacting critical criminal justice reform laws last year, such as the Alternative Sentencing Act and the before mentioned the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Act. It also led to an initiative, which is why I'm here today making the statement, in which my government advocated to the Governor General to exercise our powers under the Summary Jurisdiction Procedure Act to remit the fines of those over 2,500 first-time offenders who were convicted of either a COVID-19 offense or convicted of possession of cannabis. The data showed, Madam Speaker, that the government would have spent far less had these people not been incarcerated for non-payment of fines owing, because locking them up is a far greater cost than the fines that they were ordered to pay. Furthermore, there could be no utility in incarcerating a one-time offender for breach of COVID-19 regulations or possession of cannabis. In the case of a first-time offender convicted of COVID-19 offense, it would cost the people and government to house and care for these persons at the Belize Central Prison almost $8 million, more than what they were collectively ordered to pay. It would cost government $10.3 million, whereas $2,346,657.30 were ordered to be paid in fines collectively. So when you subtract that, basically the net out, they spend $8 million to keep these people in jail. Similarly to house and care at the Central Prison, these first-time offenders convicted of possession of cannabis would cost the government and people 8 times more than were the collective fines. It would cost the taxpayer $2.3 million, whereas while those same so-called offenders were ordered to pay $227,000. These are calculated based on the cost per day to house and care a prisoner and the number of days these prisoners would have to be incarcerated. I think we can say that this was an easy decision for Cabinet to make. So, Madam Speaker, this started as a very lengthy and meticulous process involving the courts, the police department, criminal records office, and the prisons, cross-referencing and verifying in their respective databases that the list of first-time offenders convicted of a COVID-19 offense or possession of cannabis. This list was then, in turn, submitted to the Office of the Governor General for review. The Office of the Governor General then engaged in its own verification processes, ensuring that the persons were indeed first-time offenders and that they had no other criminal record. Today is the culmination of this year-long process. And so, Madam Speaker, with your permission, I will now read the instruments of remission into the records for the over 2,200 first-time offenders convicted for COVID-19 offense and the over 500 first-time offenders convicted of persons of cannabis. Whereas, as in the year 2020, the world was beset by the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, which called for and required unprecedented action. And whereas the state of Belize, in consequence, criminalized certain conducts which were otherwise lawful, with the enactment of provisions under the Belize Constitution, the Quarantine Act, and the Public Health Act, making it an offense: A, to be on the streets or in a public area during curfew hours; B, for failure to wear a face mask or face covering; C, for failure to maintain social distancing; D, to gather in public; E, to engage in social activities; and F, for failure complying with health and safety protocols. And whereas the persons identified by case numbers listed in the schedule are first-time offenders convicted of a COVID-19 related summary conviction offense, to which penalties were thereby imposed by the court. And whereas the penalties remain unpaid by the persons identified by case numbers listed in the schedule, who thereby may be imprisoned for non-payment of these fines pursuant to Section 69 of the Summary Jurisdiction Procedure Act. And whereas offenses of being on the streets or in a public area during curfew hours, of not wearing a mask or face covering, of not maintaining social distancing, or gathering in public, or engaging in social activities, and failing to comply with health and safety protocols, have become spent and are no longer applicable laws of Belize. And whereas the government has recently enacted the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Act, number 25 of 2024, which provides for the automatic expungement of criminal records for a first offense for any COVID-19 related offense, and whereas by this enactment, the clear policy objective of the legislators were to provide persons with a first conviction of any COVID-19 related offense with a fresh start and freedom to pursue career opportunities for themselves, to provide for their families and access services that a criminal record may thereby have prevented them from pursuing. And whereas Section 132(1) of the Summary Jurisdiction Procedure Act provides that the Governor General may remit in whole or in part any sum of money imposed as a penalty and as a cost, charges and expenses in connection with the penalty on any person convicted of a summary conviction offense, although the money may be in whole or in part payable to the Treasury for the public use of Belize, and may extend the royal mercy to any person who may be imprisoned for non-payment of any sum of money so imposed, although the money may be in whole or in part payable into the Treasury for the public use of Belize. And whereas Section 132(3) of the Summary Jurisdiction Procedure Act further provides that every remission under that section may be made in the manner and subject to the terms and conditions the Governor General sees fit to direct, subject to the Belize Constitution. And whereas Section 34(1) of the Constitution provides that in the exercise of her functions, the Governor General shall act in accordance with the advice of the Cabinet, except in cases where she is required by the Constitution or any other law to enact on the advice of or after consultations with any person or authority. And whereas Cabinet has advised the Governor General that there is no public good, benefit, or use to be had for the persons identified by case numbers listed in the schedule, being first-time offenders, to be imprisoned for non-payment. And whereas Cabinet has advised that the government would incur a greater financial obligation if these persons were to be imprisoned for these outstanding fines. And whereas Cabinet has advised the Governor General that the first-time offenders identified by case numbers listed in the schedule convicted of COVID-19 related offenses and subjected to a fine or in the alternative confinement are to have those penalties remitted. Now therefore, I, Florida Salam, the Governor General of Belize, acting in accordance with the advice of the Cabinet and in exercise of the powers vested in me by Section 132(1) and 3 of the Summary Jurisdiction Procedure Act, do hereby declare and proclaim that the penalties listed in the schedule are remitted effective on the 7th day of February in the year of our Lord 2025, given under my hand and the public seal of Belize this day in the year of our Lord 2025. Remission of penalties for a summary conviction offense under the misuse of drug act. Do I need to read that? No, you don't. Madam Speaker, under the Remission of Penalties Act is the exact same thing, only that it is for under the Misuse of Drugs Act for those that were fined under the cannabis. So if you would allow me indulgence not to have to read that whole recital, Madam Speaker, and to the members. Thank you so much. I'll ask you, make you read it for me. Madam Speaker, you will note, this is important, that the names of the persons are not placed in a schedule to the instruments, but that is referenced in case number relating to individuals. Basically, what we're trying to do, Madam Speaker, is trying to give them some sort of privacy, and that we don't want to name them out, but just to expunge their criminal records. So we wish to provide them a chance to start fresh, you know. And also to have the freedom to provide, to pursue career opportunities for themselves, to provide for their families and access services that a criminal record may have prevented them from pursuing, especially when it comes to cannabis. In many instances, many good people, you know, when they go and try to apply for a job, you know, and they get a criminal record, a cannabis conviction, people just say that and they try to withdraw it. So I think it's important. I'm happy that we're getting support from both sides of the house. I don't know about the member from SUP yet. No, yet the support. Oh, good. Thanks. So this, therefore, has been done, Madam Speaker, to give effect to the spirit of the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Act, which restricts the disclosure of a person's criminal records once it has been expunged. The government will now write the Criminal Records Board on each of their behalf. Madam Speaker, I end the way I started, celebrating this historic moment. In this respect, it should not be lost that this house is meeting, and this is being done a day after when would have been the 80th birthday of Bob Marley. Bob, as you know, Madam Speaker, was a uniting force. He was a man like the father of the nation, Right Honorable George Price, who counseled us as leaders to develop and implement impactful social justice policies for our people. I'm sure that both great men would have been pleased with what this government is doing today. And I just want to end here, Madam Speaker. As I said earlier, this is a process that started a year ago, so it's not because any election gimmick. This is something that we truly believe is the right thing to do. Madam Speaker, I commend this statement to this Honorable House.
I recognize the Honorable Minister of Human Development.
Long afternoon, Madam Speaker, but we are here and we survive among the strong ones like yourself. Madam Speaker, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to make a brief statement about the work of the Women's Parliamentary Committee, which was formed during this term of government, very happy to say, and also being a joint special committee of the House of Representatives. For the first time, Madam Speaker, unprecedented and historic, we were able to move government to form this committee with the support of the entire National Assembly, and I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to make this brief statement this afternoon. Madam Speaker, some signal accomplishments of the human rights agenda of this term, of this administration, have been the National Gender Policy, the Disabilities Act, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, the motion in the House of Representatives condemning domestic violence, and thereafter the posthumous pardon of Nora Parham. The Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, Madam Speaker, making the National Women's Commission a statutory body. And I could go on and on, Madam Speaker. The treaty that we signed, the Inter-American Convention on the Protection of the Human Rights of Older Persons, and in stream are further signing on to conventions for the further protection internationally of our children. Madam Speaker, we've done a lot. And if I sound like I might be ringing a little bell this afternoon, I think it should be rung with the support of all our women. Madam Speaker, as I have said, it has been a groundbreaking formation of the Women's Parliamentary Caucus. And even though we have been very few, and right in here today we have your good self, we have Honorable Tracy, we have Honorable Elvia, and myself, only 4 of us, but I think it was 10 or 9 when we were fully formed. Sad to say we never had the participation of Honorable Denise Barrow, but we soldiered on nonetheless. And it is now a forum and a space for the advancement of gender equity and equality in this country. We have been able to put aside the party politics and to focus on what we as women can do to raise awareness and promote policies, legislations, and programs that help our women, our families, also our men, where there is any inequality or the need for positive change. The caucus, the Women's Parliamentary Caucus, Madam Speaker, with the leadership of Honorable Janelle Chanona, we have been able to partner with UNICEF and also UN Women, and they have supported our capacity development and institutional strengthening so that we can effectively fulfill our mandate as a joint standing committee on gender equality. A key output from the partnership is the strategic work plan that we have been able to forge, which aligns with and is supported by the Ministry of Human Development, which identifies 6 strategic priority areas which will guide the work of the Women's Parliamentary Caucus through, we hope, this year and beyond. And these include being gender responsive in our policies and legislation, institutional strengthening of the caucus, even though, as I have said, it has been small, capacity development, advocacy, citizen engagement and participation, and forging strategic alliances and networking and knowledge sharing and communication and visibility. Key activities executed by the Women Parliamentary Caucus include some forums dedicated to understanding and advancing human rights issues in our country, training for parliamentarians in anti-human trafficking measures, and increasing the awareness and meaningful implementation of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW. We have also been able to attend 1 or 2 international conferences, Madam Speaker, on gender equality, as well as the 14th Regional Conference of the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians, as we would all know. And this has provided valuable insight and best practice exchange among the Caribbean Women's Parliamentary Caucuses. Moving forward, Madam Speaker, together will be key, and we acknowledge the support of some of our male colleagues in some of the meetings that we had. In particular, my colleague to the right here, Honorable Carrie Musa, also our colleague, Honorable Jorge Milin Espat. Thank you, Honorable. And of course, we had the participation also of Senator Honorable Bishop Moses Benguche attend some of our meetings. Madam Speaker, I am convinced that we have made some positive progress in keeping this small forum and caucus alive. And I would like to commend to us here in the House, to all of the National Assembly, and to the people of Belize. Let's continue this caucus so that we can support our women and the pressing gender issues that we have in this country. Madam Speaker, I would only like to end up by acknowledging, first of all, our Minister of State, Elvia Vega Samos. Honorable Elvia will be representing us starting, I believe, tomorrow at the reporting to the CEDAW committee, the committee that monitors the implementation of the Convention to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women. So thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Honorable. And finally, last but not least, Madam Speaker, to yourself and to all the staff, the clerk, Madam Clerk, she's not here right now, but please let's pass it on to her. Thank you, Honorable Clerk. Thank you very much, and all your technical assistants. Not recalling your name right now, Drea? Miss Gibson, and the rest of the National Assembly staff who have given us very good support, Madam Speaker. And I believe that with the formation and the operation of this Women's Parliamentary Caucus, we have advanced the issues, the important social issues of the day, the important human rights issues, and the important issues that will make a difference in terms of the gender equity and equality, which remain an active struggle. Madam Speaker, thank you. And I just want to thank Honorable Tracy, Honorable Elvie, and all the women parliamentarians who have participated, again the staff. Your good self, Madam Speaker, you have been an absolute champion, and we want to commend you for that. And thank you for allowing me this brief statement.
I recognize the Honorable Minister of Health and Wellness.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, colleagues in this honorable House, and Belizeans across this nation. We committed in Plan Belize, Madam Speaker, to making healthcare accessible and equitable for all Belizeans. We committed in Plan Belize to always work to make the lives of Belizeans better. We committed in Plan Belize to making decisions as a government which would always be in the best interests of our people and country. Madam Speaker, today I stand before you to announce with great pride that our Cabinet has given its approval for the Carl Hirschner Memorial Hospital Authority to proceed with the write-off of $54 million in uncollected debts, specifically for the period April 2009 to March 2022. Madam Speaker, this amount includes debts accrued during the challenging COVID years, a time when many of our citizens face unprecedented hardships. This is Plan Belize at work, Madam Speaker. This decision is much more than just a financial adjustment. It represents a profound and immediate relief for thousands of Belizeans who have struggled under the weight of these debts. By removing these debts, Madam Speaker, we are lifting a heavy cloud that has lingered over the heads of our citizens. This initiative reaffirms our government's pledge to prioritize the health and well-being of all residents. Madam Speaker, this bold step by this administration complements our decision back in October of 2023 to eliminate all clinical service fees from public hospitals in all clinics countrywide. Together, these initiatives represent a compassionate and comprehensive approach to healthcare reform in our nation. We are not just talking about making healthcare accessible. We are actively dismantling the barriers that have historically prevented many from receiving the medical attention they rightfully deserve. Madam Speaker, these initiatives are declarations of our commitment to the health and dignity of every Belizean citizen. We are creating a health care environment where everyone can seek treatment without the shadow of debt looming over them. As we move forward, Madam Speaker, I ask my colleagues to let us continue to work together to ensure that quality health care in Belize is accessible, affordable, and equitable for all. I want to end by also stating, however, that while this decision to forgive and write off those old debts from March 22 and before, those pending from April 2022 onwards to present remain on the books to be collected. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Announcement by the Speaker.
Honorable members, it has been agreed that the following bills and motions be passed this day. Fiscal Incentives Amendment Bill 2025, Stamp Duties Amendment Bill 2025, Belize Companies Amendment Bill 2025, National Symbols Bill 2025, Appointment of Auditor General Motion 2025, Government of the Republic of China Taiwan Motions, Amendment Number 2 to Loan Agreement Number 025-106001, Loan Agreement Number 3 to Loan Agreement Number 602-0236004, Loan Amendment Motion 2025, Amendment Number 2 to Loan Agreement Number 602-0236005, Loan Amendment Motion 2025, Amendment Number 2 to Loan Agreement Number 602-0236006, Loan Amendment Motion 2025, Amendment Number 2 to Amended and Restated Loan Agreement Number 602-0236007, Loan Amendment Motion 2025. Amendment Number 2 to Loan Agreement Number 602-0236008, Loan Amendment Motion 2025. Amendment Number 2 to Loan Agreement Number 602-0236009, Loan Amendment Motion 2025. Amendment Number 2 to Loan Agreement Number 602-0236010, Loan Amendment Motion 2025. Amendment Number 2 to Loan Agreement Number 602-0236011, Loan Amendment Motion 2025, and Amendment Number 1 to Loan Agreement Number 602-0236012, Loan Amendment Motion 2025. As well, there is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development Belize Reliant and Resilient Energy System Project, USD 58.2 million, Loan Motion 2025. International Bank for Reconstruction and Development through the International Development Association, IDA, Belize Blue Cities and Beyond Project, USD 23.5 million, Loan Motion 2025. Taiwan International Cooperation and Development Fund Expansion and Rehabilitation of the Philip Colson Highway, USD 17.5 million, Loan Motion 2025, and the Caribbean Development Bank 7th Power Project, additional loan to Belize Electricity Limited, US 6.2 million, extension of sovereign guarantee motion 2025. As you are aware, members, under Standing Order Number 74, all proposed legislation, messages, petitions, motions, and other matters relating to the subject mentioned under the title of each standing committee shall be referred by the House to such committee for examination, consideration, and report to the House. For this to be done, other than by suspension of standing orders, is for me to suspend today's sitting to enable the Finance and Economic Development Committee, the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee, and the Health and Human Development Committee to examine, consider, and report to the House on the bills and motions. All those in favor kindly say aye. Aye. Those against kindly say no. I think the ayes have it. The sitting is therefore suspended until the Finance and Economic Development Committee, the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee, and the Health and Human Development Committee have concluded their business.
Thank you.